So in today's training, what I'm going to be covering is 3 steps to create huge behavioural change. So thanks guys for confirming that. Good to hear from you. So yeah, 3 steps to create huge behavioural change. And what I've discussed in some of my other live streams is a lot to do with how our thinking creates our reality. So it's like our mindset, like our thoughts, our inner world creates our perceptions on things, how we deal with life. You know, our thoughts and our beliefs lead into our actions in life. So I thought in this live that I would cover more of the actions, of the things that we can actually take, the steps that we can take to actually start getting results. Because I've discussed this before, where you know, it's all very well absorbing information, and we get it can be we can get a bit stuck into that information gathering mode where we're just absorbing lots and lots of information, but we're not actually implementing anything. We're not actually seeing lasting results because we're not really taking action on that. So I wanted to give you guys something, you know, some action steps, things that you can do on a daily basis to actually start moving in the direction of getting that behavioural change and change in whatever area it is that you're looking to work on. So I'm going to cover 3 things. First one is your morning routine or morning practice. So I'm not sure whether you're familiar with this, but a morning routine or a morning practice is just something that you do first thing in the morning to set yourself up to win. And guys, you'll probably hear me say this a few times, of setting yourself up to win. This is a principle that's really useful, because like I spoke about a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about levels of consciousness, you know, we're not just waking up and just being like, well, I feel rubbish today, and then just sort of let the day unfold as it is. It's like, no, we're being more open to possibility, being more open to the fact that we can change our state, that we can be a bit more proactive and actually do things to actually have a better day. And one of the things that we can do is a morning routine. So, for example, if we get up every day and we do something that shifts our state, that makes us have a more positive, we feel good, a better mind frame, then when we go out there into the day, then we're obviously going to have a better day, because, you know, it's our interactions. A lot of the time, you might have noticed this, that when we're feeling bad, a lot of the time things just continue to happen in that day, or someone is rude to us, or just things that happen. And on the opposite side to that, then, you know, when we're feeling good, things just seem to be more in flow, and things just seem to happen in that way. But we can actually be proactive in creating a good day and doing this every day. And this really starts with having a morning practice. And a lot of successful people use this. You know, this is very common with successful people, because they understand the effect that it has of having this morning practice, of having a morning routine. Now, obviously, I'll give you guys some examples of this. Meditation is going to be one. Now, there's lots of different types. Firstly, there's lots of different types of morning routine. So I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed with, because there's so many people talking about it online, that there's so many different things you could do in a morning routine. I mean, for example, if I do my longest morning routine, it takes me about 4 hours. And I'm not saying that you need to do that. You can start really small. I'm suggesting, if you haven't done this at all before, start with like 30 minutes. Just start with something really small, something that's gonna be you're gonna be able to stick with. There's no point, again, setting ourselves up to win here. You know, when people try to change something or improve something, they try to take on too much, and then that's why they can't stick at it. So start small. This is why I say start, or having small changes to create big results. And obviously I'll go a bit more into that later in the live, but just start small. So, you know, there's many morning routines out there. What I would say is just do a few basic things that you feel are beneficial to you, and I'll give you some examples. So, like I was saying, meditation is one. But again, with meditation, there's different types of meditation. You can just do a normal silent meditation where you're just there with your thoughts and just having just being present with your breathing. And it's not so much of trying to quieten the mind. That's more of a byproduct of just focusing on your breath. And as a byproduct, you'll find that the thoughts will reduce. And this in itself is think of it as a practice of being more conscious of your thoughts. And it goes back to what I said on previous weeks about being conscious of the thoughts in your mind, just being a bit more aware of what you're thinking, because this awareness is obviously going to be the beginning of any sort of change, of just being aware of our thoughts. So doing a meditation every day, it just gets us more aware of our thoughts and just being sitting there with ourselves. But again, meditation is a long-term thing. Don't expect to, be some sort of spiritual guru after a week. This stuff, it takes a while, and I would lower the importance on it. It's just something you can do to build up that awareness of our mind. But you can have guided meditations. There's different types of meditations. You can listen to, a guided meditation if that helps. Other ones, there's breathing techniques you can do. There's different types of breathing techniques to change your state. Again, there's many different types of those, and there's a lot more advanced techniques that I go into with my students that I don't really need to cover here, but because I would really say that just start small and just having some sort of a meditation practice is very beneficial. I've noticed lots of benefits to this because you're a lot more present and you're a lot more aware of what's in your mind. You can take that, again, it's setting yourself up to win. You can take that into the day, and again, having that more awareness of yourself, that higher consciousness. But one of the things that I would say on this is you really need to be consistent with it, having a morning practice. But in fact, before I go into that, what I would say is there is 3 things that you could do for a morning practice. If you just want to keep it short, you could just keep it to meditation. You could keep it to learning as a second thing, and then exercise. If you just did those 3 things, and you could just do 10 minutes each of those things, then this is beginning to have a consistent behaviour. And this is one of the things that I want to talk about is, again, it's about starting small, having something that you're doing consistently. If you're meditating every day, if you're learning even if you read for like 10 minutes a day or something, and you're reading books, obviously probably on personal development or something to do with your growth, but it doesn't have to be. But if you're doing that and you're doing some exercise as well, then after a month's time, or after a few months' time, after a year, this consistency is what gets the huge results. Because imagine how many books you could read in that time. Imagine how your meditation would have progressed, and your awareness and your consciousness with yourself and your thoughts, and obviously your fitness as well. So this is all about consistent little changes that we can do on a daily basis, but things that we can stick to. So don't start doing a couple of hours of morning routine, because after a week you won't be able to maintain that. It's very difficult. But once you have that consistent behavior of doing something for 30 minutes a day, then when you start learning about other types of morning routines, or other types of meditations, or breathing techniques, or different types of short-term exercise you can do that's really intense and gets your blood going, makes you feel good, you can start to incorporate these into your morning routine, because you already built that habit of getting up each day and starting that morning routine. And you don't have to really get up early in the morning. This is something that I've transitioned to, of getting up earlier in the morning, because I've found the benefits of this. It's just a bit quieter, you don't get distracted, etc. But again, just start small. Just start with what's easy. Start with something that you can maintain. That's more important than anything, than the actual getting too hung up on what it is you're actually doing, in the morning routine, because you can just change this. This is like a long-term practice. So that's number 1, that's morning routine. Second is community. So I've talked about this a little bit in upgrading your peer group when I did a live stream on this a few weeks ago. But one of the things that I would say to really shift behavioral change is being part of a community or being around like-minded people who are actively growing, because this is going to have a huge influence on you, the conversations you're having, and also understanding, again, if you're having a morning practice and just having conversations with people who are doing the same sort of things, they'll be like, oh, I've tried this new meditation, or I've tried this new guided meditation, or I've tried this new breathing technique, or this new exercise, or have you read this book? You know, having people around you that are on the same journey of personal growth will have a huge influence on you. And, you know, they'll be like, you'll be up to date on what's working. They'll have suggestions and ideas of different things that you can try. So having this like-minded peer group of people, of community, of friends, is going to be very influential on your journey of behavioural change, because of that influence it would have. And also it's having that, you know, that potential for, you know, if they're in the same country as you, that physical interaction as well, meeting other people, you know, that are on this journey. Because this, I've spoken a bit about this before. If you're starting down this personal development path and you don't really have anyone else that you know that's doing this, it can be a bit isolated, and people think you're a bit crazy of, you know, doing all these meditations and these crazy morning routines and going on these courses and etc., doing all these different things that most people aren't doing, because most people aren't taking their personal development that seriously. So, you know, it can be a bit lonely. So being part of a community has an influence on your behavioural change, because again, you have a reference point. I know many people within this industry, and I know the things that they're doing, you know, and how they're growing, and that has an influence on me, because, you know, I'll be like, well, you're open to that that possibility of that level of personal growth, or the things that they're actually implementing in their life, whether it's business or health or all the different sort of goals that they're reaching. So again, it has that huge influence on you of opening your mind to possibility. Also, when it comes to, if you were going to start a business, for example, if you have people who are on this personal development path, who are people who are trustworthy, who've done this level of personal growth, where you know them in a way of, you know, they have a high level of integrity, emotional intelligence, then these are people that you're probably going to want to collaborate with if you were going to start a business, for example. You know, you'd have this high level of trust in them, because they've done this level of emotional development in them. And we understand as personal growth is like a foundation to every aspect of life, you know, different types of relationships and to do with finance, etc., because we have that more of a resilience and dealing with adversity, having higher perspectives and insights on life and the things that happen, you know, and our interaction with that and life and the challenges, etc. So having this sort of higher caliber of people is very influential, and it also is it sets you up to win for the things that you might want to do, and a reference point for your personal growth. The third thing is consistent learning. So again, this fits in with both of those two steps, the morning practice and the having a community, because consistent learning is, you know, this is why I mentioned it in having your morning practice of maybe reading every day, or listening to something, or watching something, because this consistent learning is the thing that is gonna get you to you know, these consistent actions. This is where habits come in, because with habits it takes, you know, depending on which study you follow, but there's 21 days, 30 days, or 66 days. There's different studies that talk about how long it takes to install a habit, but it doesn't really matter too much if it's something that you're going to incorporate into your life long term, because, you know, you will pass those periods and you will incorporate that habit. But to incorporate a habit, you need the consistency. So this is again why I say about starting small. But if you use consistent learning as something that is part of your morning practice, or just part of your day-to-day life of just learning all the time, then the results of that is you're going to improve more, because you're going to get more information, you're going to get new insights, you're going to get new practical things that you can learn and take action on. Again, it could be something you've learned, a different technique or a different morning practice or something. You're going to be learning all the time. So your personal growth is just going to grow. This is something that I've noticed is one of the biggest things from the people who have the biggest behavioral change and the people who don't. If you're very sporadic with anything, whether it's health or if you're starting a business or you're reading your personal development books here and there, but you're not really consistent with it. If you're very sporadic with it, you're not going to get the consistency of the results. Obviously, the more consistent you are with your learning, the more consistent results you're going to get, as a result of that. So, it's just also being around the people who have the right information and having the best information that is going to be relevant to you where you are on your journey. And this is why it's quite important not to just get into this information gathering phase. That's fine in the beginning, because sometimes you need to find your feet and etc. You need to really understand. It helps you understand where you are, to have that level of information. But if you're just consuming lots and lots of information, at some point you need to start taking action on where you are to get the results to move you forward. And that obviously takes a level of insight and awareness of yourself, of where you are on that journey. But having the right information or being around the right people who have the right information does have that effect, because they'll know where you are and they'll be able to give you a reference point. Or if you're consuming information that's more of a higher caliber, again, that's going to have a bigger impact on your personal growth as well. So what I would say on this is that for me personally, it really is down to you how much you depends on what challenges you're having. Obviously everyone is going to be different on this, but you really need to sort of ask yourself, like, how seriously that you're taking your personal growth. Because me personally, I'm not worried about investing in myself to get the right information or to be around the right people, to join masterminds and collaborate with the right people. I'm not worried about investing in myself. I've probably spent tens of thousands on my own personal growth. And, and obviously when you do that, then you have access to better information, etc. People sometimes say to me, "Oh, Sam, you're knowledgeable and stuff like that," but I'm not special at all. I've just committed to getting the right information. I've committed to working on my personal development on a consistent basis, and that really is all it is. Guys, we're all on our own journey here, and this is all we need. We just need to consistently absorb information on personal growth, and then just start implementing it, increasing our awareness of ourselves, and really just start to implement that information into our life. And these are some of the steps that really help have that behavioral change, because it's incorporating that consistent element, that those habits, those positive habits. That's what's going to really shift our behavioral change in the long term.